This is Valley News Live at 6.
One of the biggest issues I would say with kind of just driving around town is the amount of attention it gets.
Local owners of Tesla vehicles are coming forward with claims of being harassed on the road. Good evening. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Stacy Van Dyke.
And I'm Justin Betty. These Tesla owners in Fargo say they're getting brake checked, sometimes run off the road, even having garbage thrown at them.
And much of it was even caught on camera. Valley News Team's Anna Ballweber checked in with some of them today and brings us more.
A Tesla driver trying to escape the scary swerves of another vehicle. In a second, they're brake checked and almost hit. Local Cybertruck owners say this is common.
Right away when I parked here for this interview, the guy that drove by rolls down his window, gives me the middle finger.
Another Tesla owner drove down Veterans Boulevard. Garbage was thrown at them and they were closely followed.
It's been quite disheartening that people let their politics dictate how they treat others in this world.
Across the country, incidents like these are on the rise. Tensions have escalated since Tesla CEO Elon Musk took a prominent role in the Trump administration. Protests and vandalism against Teslas surged. Meanwhile, police are still on the lookout for the person they said intentionally set fire to these Fargo charging stations. Fire crews were called to the Shields parking lot last week. They found a gas can and ruled it as arson.
I know after the supercharger was firebombed on Friday, I know a few people that didn't drive their car that day.
On other days, he says Tesla owners are pushed to buy protection.
I know a lot of people with Teslas are visiting gun shops recently and getting their concealed carries and are arming up just because the hostility is real.
I asked Fargo police exactly how many Tesla-fueled reports they've taken. As of now, I still haven't gotten those numbers. Reporting in Fargo, Anna Ballweber, Valley News Live.
So right now we are unable to officially confirm if that driver you see in those videos are all the same person or not.